Karakaian here from Nestrs, and I'm really excited for this upcoming video. I sit down with Henry Johnson of Digital Home. Henry is obsessed with all things smart home, and this is a way for us to dive in deep. You can learn all about the different smart products without feeling pressured to buy anything. And Henry knows his stuff. He can save you money if you stick through this entire video, because there are things that you may not be thinking about if you're deciding on making your home smart. So let's get to it. Henry Johnson of Digital Home. I'm excited. Let's get to it. All right, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the Nestrs YouTube spot. It's our home on the web. And I want to start doing a series where I bring in some home experts in different niches of like the home world. Think of this as like going to one of those home expos, but you don't have to leave your home and you can kind of pick and choose the people you want to talk to. Today I have Henry Johnson. He's the head of sales and marketing for Digital Home. So if you've thought about making your home smart or smarter, he's the guy who's going to tell us everything that's possible. There is so much these days that we can do to our home. What do we need? What do we not know about that we need? I think Henry is going to fill us in, and it's going to be a great conversation. So Henry, welcome.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah. So first, tell us about Digital Home. Where are you guys located? Where do you service? And kind of what's your mission? What do you guys stand for?
Yeah. So Digital Home, we are from New Jersey. We started in Montclair, New Jersey about 15 years ago. Family owned and operated business. And our mission is we believe that every home eventually is going to be a smart home. It's pretty obvious in the way that things are happening. Like the internet is so prevalent in our daily lives. It's taking over, obviously, our cell phones. It's now coming into cars. And now you're seeing more and more of it coming into your home with things like Amazon Alexa, Nest Thermostats, and everything all these other big companies are doing. So we're just really trying to help people get that into their homes as well and be in the leading face and helping lead that smart home revolution.
Yeah. Okay. So really quick, I have to tell you that, so Nick and I originally are from New York. I mean, not originally, but the past like 13 years. And we had a lot of clients in Montclair.
Really?
Montclair, New Jersey has to be like the most perfect little town in the United States.
It's awesome.
The houses in Montclair are beautiful.
Uh-huh.
Nick and I thought about moving there, but the taxes for property are nuts.
Yeah.
So we came to Ohio, so that's a different story. But okay, anyway, so you mentioned that you mentioned products like Alexa and Nest. So do you guys work with those products and like help people make sense of what would work best for them, or do you have your own product, or how does that work?
Yes. So the way our company works is we help people procure products. We install them, we program them to work together, and then we train our clients on how to use them. So we've been doing there's a whole slew of products that we work with. We don't have our own specifically, but ones that people know, right? Like Sonos, Nest, Alexa, are really big in terms of what we do. But we also have other like products that people may not know as well, like things like Savant systems, and then a lot of back end stuff that just makes it all work really well together. So.
Very cool. So can people mix and match these brands, or do you recommend that like, okay, if you have a Nest thermostat, so everything else you get should be Nest, or how do you feel about that?
No, so that's actually really interesting, right? So there's so many of these products coming out now that I think it can be really confusing for people. So I recently started a YouTube show as well called it's called Super Week in Smart Homes, and every week what I do, and then the acronym is SWISH. I just thought that was cool. So every week what I do is I kind of review what's happening in the industry. And one of the things about that is they all kind of integrate differently. Like Nest may integrate with some of the other Google products, but some of them they weren't for a long time. Like they didn't work very well with like Google Home for a while because they're two separate parts of Google. So the whole point of that show is to help people kind of get a better idea of what works together. Like, should I get a Nest thermostat and Nest Cam, or should I do Ring doorbell with something else? Should I do Lutron lights or a different kind of lighting system? So I think so the answer to your question is not always do the same brand. I think that's really where somebody like us comes into play, is helping to give people advice on what's the best way to kind of go about that.
Right. Well, the cool thing about professionals that have a specific niche like you guys is that you're in it all day long. So you know all those products, and you can help people save time by knowing what's going to work with something else. So hiring someone who's like in this to win this, so that your home can be as smart as possible, as quickly as possible, and probably for the best price, because you kind of know, right? Like how people can hit their price points.
That's exactly it, right? Somebody tells us you can get a gauge of where somebody's budget is, and that from there I can help put together a whole system that's going to work for the way that they want. I mean, we can do systems, we do huge systems that, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then we can do, smaller systems that, are $5,000 or even less, right? So it all depends on what the person's budget is. And then we help them put together, the optimal solution. Then we can install it, program it, and train them on it as well.
Nice. Okay. So that we make this conversation as concise as possible, I think a lot of our viewers and people who read our blog, they're probably in that like $5,000 range, right? Like, so they don't have the gigantic fancy houses, but they have a little bit of money to invest in their homes. They probably wouldn't be watching, home loving content kind of like this. So that being said, what is the most popular thing people are asking for these days? Or what are you guys trying to let us know is out there, because maybe we don't know about it yet, or it's not as advertised as much? So
I think the most like requested thing, or the thing most people kind of get started with, well, actually, so I was going to say Nest, right? I'd say Nest used to be the big thing that got everybody into smart homes, or having smart products. I think that's been overtaken by Amazon Alexa. They don't really request that from us, right? They'll go on Amazon, they'll buy that. And then once they have an Alexa, they wonder, wow, what else can I control with my voice? Because you start with Alexa, you just use it for music and setting a timer. That's typically how it goes. And then people learn like, oh, I can control my Nest with Amazon Alexa if I had one. So they'll go buy a Nest, or they'll call us to see if we can install a Nest for them. Or they'll say, but what I really point people in the direction of is smart lights. I think doing like the Lutron lighting system is my favorite part. I think it's something that people don't think about as like being what they want from a smart home up front. But for me, living with it, and then now I just moved into a new apartment, not living with it, it's been the biggest like, man, I really wish I had this in my house. So I think smart lights is the biggest thing.
Okay, so let's dive into it. What can smart lights do for us? Why do people need it? What do you miss about not having it in your apartment?
So the whole thing about smart lights is being able to control your lights with your phone, right? You can do a lot of different things with it, whether that's setting up scenes. So you can press a scene that's like movie, and it turns your lights to a specific dim that you always like when you watch movies.
Yeah.
But for me, what I miss the most about it, and it's kind of lazy, but it's true, it's just the ability to turn my lights off, any of my lights off from anywhere that I want. So we used to have a scene in my house that was all off. So whenever you're running to a meeting, you're running someplace, and I run last minute a lot of times. I try to get the most out of every second. So a lot of times I'm like, I need to leave 15 minutes before, and then I look up and it's 13 minutes. So I'm like, all right, I got to run. So I run out the house, and I could, I know I have a light up on upstairs, but I don't have time to run back upstairs and turn that light off. So I'll run out the house. I'll start driving. When I get to a stop sign, I'll go on my phone, I press all off, and I cut off all the lights. Or another example is, you got in bed, you're thinking about, you're like, I'm just going to lay here for a little while, then I'll get up and I'll, go finish doing everything, cutting off all lights. But when it's in, you're like, I'm not getting up, and I don't want to.
Forget about this.
So I just pull up my phone and I press all off, right? And I don't have that ability anymore. And it sounds lazy or being unprepared, but I think more people are like me than unlike me in that way.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
I highly recommend that.
Well, I'm even thinking too I don't want to make it a gender thing, but from a female perspective, maybe like I'm going to park and I live in an apartment complex. I can turn on all my lights right from my phone before I get upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you can set up things like geofencing, right? So what geofencing is it'll know when your phone has come a specific distance from the house, right? So you get within 200 yards of the house, it'll automatically turn on your entry scene, which maybe turns on the first room you come in, maybe that's your kitchen, and then a pathway to your bathroom or something of that nature. So you can do a lot of cool things with it, which I really like. Oh, and also one other thing I'll say, just from a security standpoint, that is kind of direction you went, is you can have set up something called a vacation mode. And what it does is, back in the day, you heard people have like timers on their lights, right? So that, every night at 12 a.m., they, make sure that a light came on so that if somebody was watching your house, they wouldn't know nobody was home. Right. What the vacation mode does is it tracks your lights. It tracks like how you've used your lights over the last 2 weeks, so that once you press vacation mode and you go away, now your lights are just going to mimic what you did the last 2 weeks. So it's not predictable, right? Like maybe Monday you woke up at 8 a.m., so you cut the lights on at 8 a.m., but Tuesday you didn't have to wake up early, so you didn't cut the lights on until 10. Your vacation mode will do that as you did it. So I think it's really cool from a security standpoint and making sure nobody knows that you're not there if you don't want them to.
Right. When you were describing that, I totally thought of Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone when he tried to put his lights on timers.
Yeah.
I bet he wished he had these smart lights.
Yeah, had some smart lights, yeah.
So can a renter, okay, so a lot of things that we do is try to help people who are renting out their home, right? But I also like to help the people who are actually renting our properties or renting a property. Can they have smart products in their rental and then take it with them when they leave? Or like with these smart lights, like, is that something that's possible?
So yes and no, right?
Okay.
I mean, it depends on one, like your agreement with your landlord, right? Because I don't want anybody, breaking those agreements based on my recommendation. If you do,
no, sure.
You did it on your own. And then also some things come from a skill set standpoint, or if you want to hire somebody to do it standpoint, right? So with these smart lights, they replace the existing switches. So they deal with kind of changing that and doing high voltage work. So you should call an electrician to do things like that. They're easy to take back out in the same way that you put them back in, but you have to have a professional do it, or you have to know how to do it yourself. The same goes for like a Nest thermostat. I was renting and I did it in my old rental. So they can be done, and I took it with me, and I did all that. But it helps save for example, the Nest helps save you money on a month-to-month basis, on what you're using for heat, air condition, etc. So I think it's worth it, doing that a little bit of extra work. It's just a matter of if that person wants to.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I hear you. And like, if you're going to be there for a long time, maybe you're hunkering down for a few years, then maybe it's worth it. But if you're just there for like a year lease or whatever, it may not be.
It may. So it may not be, but for me, like the smart lights, I'm in a rental now, and I'm changing the lights, like because I just miss it so much. I think that was. I'm probably not going to do a Nest thermostat there, but I'm doing the lights, and I have Alexas all around. So, date night I can go, Alexa, turn movie mode on, and bring the lights down.
Yes,
turn music, that kind of thing. So it's really cool.
I love it. So is it worth it to just do a couple homes with or a couple of rooms with the smart lights, or like do most of your clients get the whole house done, or is it just the living room or just the kitchen?
Yeah. So I recommend, obviously, right? I recommend the whole house, I think, because that's where you get the all off button capabilities. You take out certain rooms like the laundry room, like closets and things like that. Those aren't as necessary. If people are going to, what happens a lot of times is people will say, I don't want to spend that money, but so they'll start with a certain amount of rooms. And which case we say like the main common areas like living room, kitchen, those rooms. And then surprisingly, we'll say the kids' rooms, or attic or basement, because although they're not used as much, those are the rooms that especially if you have kids, they end up running out of without cutting off the lights. Right. And then you go, did you cut off the lights? And they go, oh no, and they have to run back upstairs and do it, or you guys are pulling out and somebody's got to run back and do it. So this makes it easier for you to just log in and cut those off. So
that's totally smart.
A lot of people want to do their master, but I recommend the kids over your master.
So I'm sure it depends too on the setup and the location, but let's say we have like a 3-bed, 2-bath home or apartment. What kind of investment, if someone were to get set up with your company, what would that cost someone? Approximately.
For what? Like the smart lighting?
Yeah, let's just talk about smart lighting. Just so kind of people just can get a feel of like, okay, this sounds great, but like, is something that I can do?
Yeah. So like you hear from like every contractor, right? It does depend. Right?
I know. Yeah.
But with smart lighting specifically, I can kind of give certain costs. So the way that it's done up to a certain size home, it's about $53 per switch.
Okay.
And then you pay for installation and programming of it. So I just don't have those numbers. I didn't come prepared with those numbers.
That's fine.
That's the product cost, and then installation and programming would be like another cost.
Yeah.
And then like I would pair that with like the smart one of those at least like a one of those voice smart assistants like Google Home or Alexa, because I think it helps get people really in the habit of using some of this stuff.
I think too, if you're gonna have someone come out there and install it professionally, have them come out just the one time. So if you're trying to save money, so maybe you just do like one room. But then everyone keeps telling you, listen, you're going to love this thing. You're going to get the kids' room. You're going to get the basement done. Get it all done, because then the electrician or the installer doesn't have to come back out, which is another fee,
because
right?
It always happens. I'll be honest with you. Pretty much everybody who I've spoken to and we did like a portion of their house, they end up calling us back and they go, oh yeah, we didn't do the dining room, but like we really want to do that now. Or we didn't do our master, or we didn't do the kids' room, but those are the ones we really, really wish we had. So it ends up happening. I'm just used to it at this point.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, so smart lights are really cool. Obviously, the voice-activated Alexa and Google Home are awesome. Okay, so let's talk about this from a standpoint if I'm a landlord, I'm an Airbnb host. How can smart products help me with my rentals? Do you think that they're worth the investment for the luxury it gives to my tenants or my Airbnb guests?
So first, I remember we spoke about this, and I've thought a lot about it since we spoke. And the first way I kind of think about it is like, if I'm an Airbnb guest host, right? What are the main things that I don't like doing or that are annoying for me just in that job? And I think number one comes in, having to get that person the key, when they arrive, or when they're leaving, coming to get the key back and all that kind of stuff. So the number one thing I'd say for Airbnb hosts would be around, having smart locks. With the smart locks, you can do a lot of different things. One in particular that I think's interesting is being able to give like temporary codes to guests. So, okay, you're going to be a guest from Monday to Wednesday. I'll send you a code. This will work from Monday to Wednesday. And then when you're done, just leave. We don't have to meet up at all to do that.
Right.
So it gives them an ability to, save some time and therefore make, running that Airbnb a lot easier. Number two would be around just kind of regulating the guests a little more, and that's having some kind of smart thermostat. So I know, one of the extra costs from having that Airbnb is going to be, if somebody comes in and they put your thermostat to 90, because they're cold, that's going to really run up your bill. But at the same time, how cold could you be that you needed it on 90? People don't treat sometimes, Airbnbs or rentals the way
Like
they
their
would
home.
at home, right?
Yeah.
So having a smart thermostat that can regulate that, or even make it so that they can't control it at all, and that's kind of your realm.
Yeah.
I think it's something that's interesting, and that for an Airbnb host or landlord, right?
Right.
And things like the Nest will also help regulate it, because when these people leave, the Nest watches. What the Nest does is smart in that it watches people's activities. Like, not recording you, but it knows if you're home or not.
Right.
So if the people, got your Airbnb because they're going to a conference, for example, so they're not there the entire time, there's no reason that they should have that thermostat on all day, and the Nest will know that they're not there and make sure that it cuts it off.
I
So
didn't know
it's
that.
going to save you some money from a host perspective. Number 3, from is more of a safety standpoint, and I don't know the rules around Airbnb or from where you are from a landlord perspective, but doing cameras that you can access from anywhere, whether that's from on the perimeter of the location or whatever you want to do, so that if something does happen, you're easily able to look at it, rewind, save it, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And for Airbnbs, less so for rentals, I say have a robust Wi-Fi system, Wi-Fi installation. So Comcast, Xfinity, all of them will bring bring Wi-Fi into the home. But if you have if you're renting out a house that's like larger than like 1,500 square feet, a lot of times you'll notice that there's dead zones in certain areas. If you've ever lived in a house like 3,000 square feet or something like 2,500 square feet, anything bigger than that 1,500 range, their like router that they give you has a certain range that it can go to. So you're going to have dead zones that the further you are away from that router. So for me, when I'm in an Airbnb, when I'm anywhere, I want to have good internet. So if I'm in an Airbnb and they promise that, we have a very robust internet, I think that's really nice. And then the last thing would be like smart, like viewing sources. So like media. So like for Airbnb, like having like an Apple TV or Roku or something like that, I think is an interesting thought. So those are my 5 that I thought were interesting for Airbnbs or rentals. Apple TV definitely isn't something that for a rent, like a landlord probably wouldn't, put that in your house, but Airbnb could. And then even for the Wi-Fi, I said more Airbnb, but even like a landlord, right? If you had a 3-family home and you had the Wi-Fi, maybe you charge people just an extra, $10 a month because you're supplying the Wi-Fi, it may be an easy extra source of revenue. So just random thoughts.
Wait, so what products do you recommend for that whole Wi-Fi? So it's a booster type situation, or?
So it's not a booster. That's what Verizon or Comcast will give you. They'll come give you they call them extenders. The challenge with extenders is like if you think of like your Wi-Fi like a highway. Every Wi-Fi router has like a certain amount of lanes, right? So let's say your router comes with 3 lanes. If you put one of those extenders on, it gives you extra range, but it doesn't give you another lane. So now you put that extender on, it takes up a lane. So now you have 2 lanes. So now you and your husband and your kids or whoever want to get on, they're restricted to 2 lanes instead of 3, which because the extenders take it up 1. What I recommend is putting access points in. They're hardwired to the router, so they actually extend the range, but also extend the amount of lanes that you have. The challenge. So the great thing about them is that they always work well. You can have like more robust like security on them, and you can set up like apartment 1. Like you can set up different apartments on different channels so that they can't access each other's. The challenge with them is that because they're hardwired, a lot of times it's hard to do if the house is already constructed. So So that makes them a challenge. The way to get around that are looking at products like Eero, Google Wi-Fi. These are mesh Wi-Fi systems, so that they can make it so you will have less dead spots in like a larger home or something like that.
Very cool. The cool thing about all these tips that you're giving us for Airbnb hosts or landlords, I mean, these are things that homeowners can also say, hey, that would work for me and my family too. I mean, sometimes the kids will put the temperature up really high as a joke, or, you know, or whatever it is. Or like you said, if you have a big house and a big family, like I know that everyone's fighting over, you know, dad's watching all the football games and the kids are on their smart pads and everyone's on a device and they're eating up all the Wi-Fi. So I think that's a great tip, from matter, you know, what your situation is.
The Wi-Fi thing, I think is huge. Because like literally if my internet goes down, that means it's bedtime. Like I'm going to bed. Like back in the day, right? It was a power outage. If you had a power outage, you'd go to sleep. It's like I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, you know, what else do I do? I can't watch TV. I can't even read a book if I wanted to.
Right.
Now it's more like if my internet's down and like I can't access by 4G or anything, like, all right, like I don't know what to do. I'm going to bed.
What am I going to do with my life? Yeah.
Hopefully when I wake up, it'll be fixed. Like, you know, like that's kind of how we live. And I think if you don't have a robust Wi-Fi setup, you kind of run into a lot of those same issues, in that like, all right, the internet's running so slow, like I might as well just use my 4G. I might as well use my data, or, you know, things like that. So I think that's really important. And then you can kind of look into the rest of the smart products and stuff like that.
Yeah. So if someone invests in a smart product, whatever it is, how long do these things last? Like, are they made to last a long time? Are these brands standing behind any sort of warranty? What does that look like for someone who invests in these products?
Yeah, so they all have a warranty with them. And then like our company offers like maintenance plans and support plans as well, to help make sure you're always upgraded, you're always on the latest version. One of the big things about that is these companies are always rolling out latest versions to these stuff, but sometimes you have to log in and just say, yes, I want to upgrade the firmware. Yeah. And what that's going to help with is, you know, all this stuff is connected to the internet the same way that like your computer is. It just makes them more secure and adds extra features and functionality. So we help with that, because a lot of people just will never do it themselves. They install and just kind of let it go, which will work. It'll work. But I think the whole point of the software upgrades and stuff like that is to make sure that your product is working for longer, you're getting better benefits out of it over time, and you're secure in the way that you're using it. So that's
I want to talk about shopping.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use any of these products. I use some of these smart products, right? So I have a little bit of an understanding, but I know that people and companies are trying to do this whole thing where I can say like, Alexa, I need more Tide detergent. Like, how does that work? And is that something that could help either busy families so that they don't have to make shopping lists anymore? Or I'm even thinking for Airbnb hosts, I know I have to clean all the linens. I also provide, you know, shampoo and conditioner and a bar of soap, and I do water sometimes. So is there a way that these smart products can help me keep track of my inventory, or is that not a thing yet?
Not that I know of from like a like detergent standpoint. And
okay.
There were a lot of announcements last week at CES, which is Consumer Electronics something.
Okay.
But there were a lot of updates with Alexa being integrated into stuff, Google Home being integrated into stuff. For example, like there's a lot of refrigerators and appliances that are going to have it.
Right.
So that will show you, like, you know, all right, we're running out of milk, right? That'll be able to tell some things like that. If you're an Airbnb host, you're probably not providing that. So, so that's less applicable to you. But I think I saw something about a smart washing machine, but I don't know enough. I didn't read enough yet. Today is the week in smart homes. So I do it every Tuesday. So I'll be looking up all that kind of stuff today, and just haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, and we can make, we can tell our smartphones to like add something to the list. So, which is so helpful. And sometimes I'll forget I even add it to the list. So when I'm going to make my order on Amazon or whatever, I'm like, oh, great. I forgot that I did that. My past self is smarter than my present self.
Yeah. Well,
I just didn't know if there was.
one thing you can do on Amazon, and I don't know if you're familiar with Prime Pantry. I mean, this is not smart home stuff, but Prime Pantry is like essentially you can set up a box of things that come like every month, 2 months, or 3 months. So like you can have like your Tide come in there, your like paper towels, toilet paper,
Right.
et cetera, and just have it always delivering on a monthly basis or every other month basis,
Right.
based on however much you guys use. So.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. I just saw they advertised this whole thing with Amazon where like delivery professionals can open your door, leave the packages. Can you elaborate on that whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's just Amazon trying to get closer to their customer, right? I mean, if you're willing to let the Amazon person come into your house and actually deliver it,
Yeah.
it helps Amazon, become more of your trusted provider. That's kind of how I looked at it. The reason I think it's becoming it was even a thing is because Amazon drops off boxes and boxes get stolen all the time. So
Right.
it's just if your boxes if you had that experience of a box getting stolen, now Amazon's saying we have a solution if you want it. There was a big uproar about it though, because everybody's like, I'm not letting some stranger in my house even if I do have a camera, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a camera and a smart lock on there combination to enable it. I think over time we will see more and more things like this happening. I think people say they're not going to do things like from a privacy perspective, but as we've seen, Google and Facebook and all these companies know so much about us already that I think people are overrate their how much they care about privacy.
Well, I think it's funny too. Like here I am talking about Airbnb. I mean, that's home sharing. Like,
Exactly.
some people have Nick, my husband and I have entire spaces, right? But I mean, there are people who share their bedrooms with people they've never met. So
Exactly.
to let an Amazon delivery guy or gal come into your home and drop off a package, especially if there's a light, I mean, it's not that crazy of an idea, I guess.
Exactly. So that's exactly the point. Like, who would have thought? Like, if we were talking like 10 years ago, and I was like, yeah, like one day, you're gonna be living you're gonna be in your master bedroom, and you're gonna have a stranger paying you to stay in the guest bedroom. Like,
Right.
like there's no way you would have thought that was like ever gonna happen. Like you'd like, nah, I think I'll pass.
Never.
But that's just the way that the world is. There's trust built in through these companies. So
Yeah.
it happens.
Very cool. Okay, Henry. So is there anything else that I'm not thinking of that maybe that people don't know about and you wish they did, or anything as it comes to digitizing your home that you want to share with us?
Not really. I think the main thing I want to just leave people with is something that you brought up earlier. Is it's not don't necessarily buy a product just because it says Google on it or just because it says Amazon on it. Think first, what do you want to do, right? What are all of the different smart things that you may want to do or smartify? And then kind of reverse engineer the system. Because if you say you want to do a smart thermostat and audio around the house, it may not be in your best interest to just do a Nest thermostat with Sonos, because they may not work together, right? Or you may want to do smart lighting and a smart thermostat, but let's see which ones work together before you just go buy a product. So if you can, kind of think about the things that would be interesting to you to make smart, and then think about the products rather than going it the other way around. Because I find a lot of people go the other way around, and then they're trying to figure out, how do I make all of this work? And then have to be like, they're not going to work together. You're just going to have, 6 apps, which I think you want to have at the max, like 3 apps, and a lot of things do integrate. So the best way we can kind of set that up, I think the best.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like like anything else, you should have a plan before you just
Exactly.
go buying stuff.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
do you think, I got one last question for you. So do you believe with all your heart though that investing in these smart products a lot of the times will in the end save you money, whether it's electricity or, your heating costs or
Mhm.
things like that, or your time, like with the
Yeah.
smart locks? Do you really believe that it's an upfront investment, but over time it will save the consumer money?
So 1,000%, right? We talked about Nest, right? That's going to help save you money from a HVAC perspective. Think about the smart lightings. One thing I didn't mention is you can set what the max like the light goes to is. So like if it's a dimmable light, you set the max at 80%, which is not noticeable to the human eye, but you're saving 20% of the electricity that you're putting towards that light, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Things like that. And then also, if you're a landlord, you're renting out this is New York City, right? So not comparable to everybody else, but we did a project with a landlord in New York City. They're right in Soho. I mean, it was a very expensive place, but we did a project for them. I mean, he spent 20 grand on this apartment, which granted is not like what everybody wants to do, but he was able to raise the rent of that apartment. I don't remember. I think it was $500 a month. He raised it because everything else was renting for like $6,000 a month, and he sold this one for $6,500 a month
Yeah.
because he had all this smart stuff in it. So over the course of a few years, he's going to easily make his money back on that. Right.
Right.
So
Right.
so I think it's important to think about and just understand your market and what makes sense, right? But for everybody, 20 grand doesn't make sense, but putting 3 in may make a lot of sense. And we're doing that all over the place with different landlords. So
Yeah. Well, especially from a landlord's perspective, I mean, people who are shopping in Soho to rent an apartment, they're going to pay for that kind of stuff. And
exactly.
it's going to set you apart from the pre-war building. And this goes for anywhere in the US. If you're in if the neighborhood you're in, people are going to pay for that kind of luxury. I mean, put it in there. It's going to save them money. Eventually it'll save you money. It'll separate you from your competition.
And you got to think, right? Like there's so much happening right now with like these new construction buildings. If you have a pre-war building that you're trying to rent out, really, how do you compete, right? Because these new construction buildings are putting all the latest and greatest in there. They may not be putting all smart technology in there, but they have everything else is brand new, right? Their appliances are brand new. The windows are, the best thermo-treated windows, all that kind of stuff. They may have smart blinds in there and things like that. And then you're saying, okay, I'm trying to rent you this pre-war building. I mean, it's got a lot of character, but does it compare how does it compare? And that was really what happened with this guy is he had an older building and there was literally a new construction building next door to him. And so it was like, how do I compete? And that's really how you do it is you do things that make this building be more than just it's beautiful because it's it's older, it has the bricks, all this other stuff, but also it's going to be it's great from a technology perspective as well, and it's going to help save money for the client and make their lives easier. So
Yeah. We all want easier lives, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Henry. We really appreciate it. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
So for me, Instagram is the best.
Great.
At digital_home_. So it makes it very easy, and I run it, so you can message me there, comment on our pictures, follow us, please, or you can go to our website, and it's a little difficult. It's digihm.com, and if you go to the website, there's a little picture of me at the bottom that'll pop up. I think if it's your first time, I'll say first time here, and you can chat with me right there in real time. Those messages come to my phone, so I'm always by my phone and always ready to chat.
Yay. We'll make sure to put those links in the notes below so that people have no problem getting in touch with you, because you spent a lot of time with us today and I appreciate it. So thank you.
Awesome. Hey, well, thanks, Sarah. I appreciate it as well. And I'll talk to you soon.
Great. Talk to you soon.
Wasn't that interview great? I didn't think about all the ways that maybe you buy an Alexa, but you like the Google Home product for something else.
Are they gonna integrate? Am I gonna have to return something down the line? I mean, someone like Henry can help us save time and money if maybe even we don't have them install them, but they just consult us on what to buy and how to put everything together. And I think the biggest takeaway is if you want to make your home more smart, to sit down and make a plan. What is it about a smart home that would be good for you and your family or your Airbnb guests or your tenants? Sit down, map it out, and then see which products offer the best product with the best price, and then make sure they can integrate. Because if they can't integrate, you may have, like he said, 6 apps on your phone, and then it's just more of a hassle than anything else. But I think at the end of the day, these products are made to save us money. They're a little bit of an investment up front, but they can help your family stay more safe. They can help you save money. And it's also kind of fun when you're having people over and you're like, hey Alexa, go to movie mode or whatever he said. So yeah, I think it's a really great way to upgrade your home and to add value to your rentals, what have you. Thanks for stopping by. I'm Sarah Karakaian. If there is a home improvement niche you want me to dive into and interview someone because you don't want a salesperson to come to your home and make you feel all pressured, let us know. I'm happy to do this. I love doing this stuff. I love talking home all day long. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode. We've got tons of DIY stuff coming up, things that we're doing to our own fourplex that you might find valuable for your home. Either way, we thank you for being here today, and I'll talk to you next time. A lot of my videos, I'm all business from here on up, but then I really wear like comfy painted on pants.